Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chalakotur R. David. I am sorry to find the President of the United States of America, President Trump, is going to be tried before a judge by the name Tanya Chutkan. Before you reach conclusions, I want to tell you something about Tanya Chutkan, who ruled in my case twice. Her first ruling was on January and her first ruling was in a case David versus AT&T from the DC Columbia Circuit Court, and her second ruling was also dismissal of my case for failure to prosecute. This is a civil rights case going on for the past 42 years, which started originally at the district court in Orlando, Florida. To cut the long story short, the judge, John Alton A. Reed, was having a good time with AT&T's lawyer, who was his former law clerk by the name Ann C. Conway. I caught the judge. He admitted having a relationship at her home, at his home, in flagrant violation of the canons of ethics of the American bar, and this woman, being a co-conspirator, she was a member of the Florida bar. So they were conspiring to throw my case out. Now, I don't want to go into the details because it will take a long time to explain 2-3 hours. I have about 14 hours in the YouTube and Facebook about the tactics. Now coming to this woman who is now going to sit to write judgment against President Trump. She ruled in my case before her, and the case number is shown as 1.21-CV01916 UNA, unnumbered. That was the order, and she held that my 32-page complaint is too difficult to read. 34-page complaint which I filed, which was ruled earlier by another judge. It was the same thing, and to get that judge took 5 months, because when you do a random assignment, it doesn't take 5 months. Okay, so he ruled, and this woman who finally got the file, she says, Mr. David, your complaint should be 15 pages long, double spaced. How can you explain or reduce the size of your page number to 15, which is impossible, especially somebody who left India at the age of 28, and whose mother tongue was Malayalam, one of the Indian dialects. It is humanly impossible, even for a US licensed lawyer, even practicing in the Supreme Court of the United States. So she tells me I should reduce my complaint. Then I could do it, because there's no way I can reduce the size of my complaint from 32 pages to 15 pages, explaining what transpired. She issues another order judgment, default judgment for my failure to prosecute the case. Thus by Tanya Chutkan. Okay. Now what I find is her name has been changed in the order. You will see there is an order signed by another person, Dabney L. Friedrich, United States District Judge. I never knew who she is, how she got in the picture, how Tanya Chutkan was taken off. This is filed on 6/6/2022. And I called the clerk of the court yesterday, so he sent me the entire documents I filed in the courts. Now, why I wanted to say this is how the tricks played here. Okay, how the tricks played in the courts. It's a case of utmost corruption. Corruption going on in the office of the clerk of the court. Well, it is too long to explain, but I have here, I did some additional search last night from the US Supreme Court's previous record. So the case number granted by the US Supreme Court in my case was 169624. So the record shows, as you will see, you have to show this, which I'm going to give it to you, 169623, 24 is missing. Okay, 24 is missing. It means the clerk was wrong. The two clerks, Melissa Bladdock and Jeffrey Atkins, they are the one who refused to take my complaint even after the Supreme Court of the United States granted me permission to file a writ of mandamus. So I will go into details. I was trying to get the legal eagles employed by President Trump, and I got nowhere. Although two names came up and I misplaced them. Trump had so many lawyers. Now I want the world to know what the hell is going on with this judge who cannot even read Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 8, 9, 10, and the local rules, which nowhere says an initial complaint to the court should be limited to 15 pages, double-spaced. That's her ruling. And she issues an order now with a different name and says, my failure to prosecute the case. Now what they did was, although Miss Tanya Chutkan had issued an order dismissing the case for failure to submit, that order didn't come to me to India until we have the date here. So I have kept the envelope, how the game is played. So I'm getting the order like 24th, and the deadline set was 1 month. So we will show you how the fraud, and maybe President Trump's lawyers hear me or they want to contact me, I can provide all the materials they needed. A litigation going on 42 years where there is sex, money, corruption. Judge Reed recused upon my complaint to the FBI and to the Chief Justice Warren Burger of the US Supreme Court without any question being asked. He admitted everything in a taped telephone conversation consented by him, and that tape disappeared from the district court and the rest of the record. So I want you folks, before you consider how to decide questions of law and fact as going to be given to you during the trial. Thanks.